Rising tensions, the United States, NATO, and the Iran conflict. In recent developments, the long-standing alliance between the United States and NATO is being tested as the conflict involving Iran intensifies. The persistent strain has ignited debates about the future of NATO and the extent of its involvement in the ongoing crisis, with significant political and military implications. Hashtag introduction of fractured alliance. As the conflict involving Iran continues to escalate, a growing rift between the United States and its NATO allies has become increasingly evident. This discord is largely attributed to differing strategic priorities and the reluctance of several European nations to fully engage in the U.S.-led military initiatives. The disagreement has reached a point where discussions of a potential NATO rupture are becoming more pronounced as some allies quietly push back against Washington's demands. Hashtag the U.S. perspective, frustration and threats. The United States, under the leadership of President Donald Trump, has expressed increasing frustration with NATO allies. The president has gone as far as to openly threaten to withdraw the United States from the alliance, describing NATO as a paper tiger and criticizing the lack of meaningful support in the Iran conflict. This discontent was further amplified following several refusals from NATO member states to comply with U.S. requests for military assistance and strategic support. Hashtag NATO's reluctance, key rejections. The reluctance of NATO allies to engage deeply in the Iran conflict is exemplified by recent refusals from countries such as Poland, Italy, Spain, and France. Each of these nations has taken a stand against U.S. demands, prioritizing their own national security interests and emphasizing their commitment to sovereignty. Hashtag Poland's stance. Poland, for instance, has refused a U.S. request to relocate its Patriot air defense systems to the Gulf region, a move that was intended to support regional defense needs amid escalating tensions. The Polish defense minister emphasized the critical role of these systems in protecting Polish airspace and reinforcing NATO's eastern defensive posture. In his words, our Patriot batteries and their armaments are used to protect Polish airspace and NATO's eastern flank. Nothing is changing in this regard, and we have no plans to move them anywhere. Our allies are well aware of and understand the importance of our tasks here. Poland's security is an absolute priority. This refusal comes at a time when the United States and its Gulf partners have reportedly expended more than 1,000 Patriot missiles within just 16 days of conflict, highlighting the strain on air defense stockpiles in the Middle East. Hashtag Italy and Spain's restrictions. Italy has also demonstrated its discomfort with the U.S. approach by denying landing permission to American military aircraft at Sigonella Air Base in Sicily. This decision underscores the growing caution among Washington's partners as the Iran conflict continues to expand. Meanwhile, Spain has taken a more comprehensive approach by closing its airspace to U.S. military aircraft involved in operations against Iran. This policy shift not only restricts overflights, but also denies U.S. forces access to Spanish military installations for logistical staging. The Spanish government has been clear in its stance, with Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez labeling the conflict as strategically imprudent and legally questionable. He urged the United States to adhere to international legal frameworks, stating, "We have denied the United States the use of the Roa and Morn bases for this illegal war. All flight plans that involved actions related to the operation in Iran were rejected." Every single one of them, including those of refueling aircraft. Hashtag France and the United Kingdom strategic hesitations. France and the United Kingdom have also found themselves at odds with the U.S. strategy in Iran. President Trump has publicly criticized both nations for their lack of support. He suggested that the United Kingdom should either source oil directly from the United States or assert control over the strategic Strait of Hormuz. In a pointed remark on Truth Social, Trump said all of those countries that can't get jet fuel because of a Strait of Hormuz, like the United Kingdom, which refused to get involved in the decapitation of Iran, I have a suggestion for you. Number one, buy from the U.S. We have plenty. And number two, build up some delayed courage. Go to the Strait and just take it. You'll have to start learning how to fight for yourself. The USA won't be there to help you anymore, just like you weren't there for us. Additionally, Trump criticized France for declining to allow aircraft carrying military supplies to Israel to transit through its airspace, remarking the country of France wouldn't let planes headed to Israel loaded up with military supplies fly over French territory. France has been very unhelpful with respect to the butcher of Iran, who has been successfully eliminated. The USA will remember hashtag implications of the growing divide. The growing divide between the United States and NATO allies has significant implications for the future of the alliance and the broader geopolitical landscape. The reluctance of European nations to fully align with U.S. military initiatives reflects deeper strategic and political differences that have been exacerbated by the Iran conflict. Hashtag strategic and political ramifications. For NATO, this discord raises questions about the alliance's cohesion and effectiveness in addressing contemporary security challenges. The refusal of key member states to support U.S. military strategies indicates a shift towards more autonomous defense policies and a reevaluation of transatlantic relations. The potential withdrawal of the United States from NATO would mark a profound shift in global security dynamics, undermining a cornerstone of Western defense policy since World War II. Such a move would not only weaken NATO's collective defense capabilities, but also embolden adversaries by signaling a lack of unity among Western powers. Hashtag economic considerations. The tensions also extend to economic considerations, as President Trump has hinted at potential trade curtailments targeting nations like Spain due to their non-participation in regional military support arrangements. This approach underscores the interconnected nature of military and economic strategies, where diplomatic frictions can have tangible repercussions on trade and economic partnerships. Hashtag a call for reassessment. As the situation evolves, there is a growing call for reassessment of NATO's role and the strategic priorities of its member states. The alliance must navigate the delicate balance between collective security and national sovereignty, ensuring that it remains relevant and effective in a rapidly changing global landscape. In conclusion, the current tensions between the United States and NATO over the Iran conflict highlight the complexities of international alliances and the challenges of maintaining cohesive strategic objectives. As the world watches closely, the decisions made in the coming months will have lasting impacts on the future of transatlantic relations and global security. Hashtag rising tensions, the United States, NATO, and the Iran conflict. Hashtag the strategic divide, a closer examination. As tensions surrounding the Iran conflict continue to escalate, the long-standing alliance between the United States and NATO is under unprecedented strain. The friction is largely rooted in divergent strategic priorities, with the U.S. administration under President Donald Trump expressing growing dissatisfaction with NATO allies' reluctance to fully immerse themselves in U.S.-led military actions in the Middle East. This discord has fueled discussions about a potential rupture within the alliance, raising critical questions about NATO's future role and unity. Hashtag the U.S. perspective, mounting frustrations. President Trump has voiced his frustrations with NATO allies openly threatening to withdraw the United States from the alliance. He has described NATO as a paper tiger, a term signifying his belief that the alliance lacks the resolve and capability to act decisively on the international stage. His dissatisfaction stems from NATO's perceived lack of meaningful support in the Iran conflict, which has seen significant U.S. military engagement without comparable contributions from European allies. Hashtag NATO's reluctance, key rejections. The reluctance of NATO allies to engage more deeply in the Iran conflict is exemplified by recent refusals from several member states, including Poland, Italy, Spain, and France. These nations have prioritized their own national security interests and emphasized their commitment to sovereignty over aligning with U.S. military strategies. Hashtag Poland's firm stance. Poland, a key NATO member on the alliance's eastern flank, has refused a U.S. request to relocate its Patriot air defense systems to the Gulf region. This decision underscores Poland's focus on safeguarding its national airspace and reinforcing NATO's eastern defensive posture. The Polish defense minister remarked, "Our Patriot batteries and their armaments are used to protect Polish airspace and NATO's eastern flank. Nothing is changing in this regard, and we have no plans to move them anywhere." Our allies are well aware of and understand the importance of our tasks here. Poland's security is an absolute priority. Poland's refusal is particularly significant given the heightened strain on air defense stockpiles in the Middle East. Reports indicate that the United States and its Gulf partners have expended over 1,000 Patriot missiles in just 16 days of conflict, highlighting the urgent need for additional defense resources in the region. Hashtag Italy's strategic caution. Italy has also demonstrated caution by denying landing permission to American military aircraft en route to the Middle East. This decision highlights growing discomfort among U.S. allies as the Iran conflict continues to expand. The refusal to allow American aircraft to land at the Sigonella Air Base in Sicily underscores Italy's reluctance to be drawn deeper into the conflict, a stance that is echoed by other European allies.
Hashtag Spain's sovereign decision. Spain has taken a bold step by closing its airspace to U.S. military aircraft involved in operations against Iran. This comprehensive restriction on overflights supporting the ongoing conflict signals a significant policy shift. The Spanish government has been clear in its position, stating, "We will not authorize the use of Morne and Rota for any acts related to the war in Iran."
We have made this clear to the American government from the beginning. Spain's strategic geographic location makes it a critical aerial corridor for U.S. military flights connecting North America with the Middle East. The airspace restriction forces U.S. military flights to reroute, increasing fuel expenditures and complicating operational scheduling. Hashtag France's airspace restriction. France, too, has declined U.S. requests to allow aircraft carrying military supplies to Israel to transit through its airspace. This decision reflects France's cautious approach to the conflict and its desire to avoid deeper involvement in military actions against Iran. President Trump has publicly criticized France for its uncooperative stance, stating the country of France wouldn't let planes headed to Israel loaded up with military supplies fly over French territory. Hashtag implications and consequences. The current discord within NATO has significant implications for the alliance's future. The persistent strain threatens to weaken the collective defense framework that has been the cornerstone of transatlantic security for decades. As NATO allies prioritize their own national interests and strategic objectives, the alliance faces the risk of diminished cohesion and effectiveness in addressing global security challenges. Hashtag the broader geopolitical context. The Iran conflict is part of a broader geopolitical landscape characterized by shifting power dynamics and regional rivalries. The U.S. administration's unilateral approach to foreign policy has often left European allies struggling to reconcile their own strategic priorities with those of Washington. This tension is further compounded by the complex web of alliances and rivalries in the Middle East, where Iran's influence poses a significant challenge to U.S. and allied interests. Hashtag conclusion, navigating the future. As NATO navigates this period of uncertainty, the alliance's ability to adapt and address internal divisions will be critical to its future relevance and effectiveness. The United States, under President Trump's leadership, has signaled a willingness to reconsider its commitments to NATO, raising questions about the alliance's future role in global security. The coming months will be crucial in determining whether NATO can overcome its current challenges and emerge as a unified force capable of addressing the complex security threats of the 21st century.